Parshas VaYishlach, the parsha begins with Yaakov Avinu preparing for his fateful encounter with his brother Esav. And the Torah tells us he prepares in three ways. Dor and Tefillah Mechama. Prepares a gift to try to convince his brother to back off. Tefillah, he davens to Hashem for Rachmanis, for mercy. And Mechama, he prepares for war if necessary. After Yaakov sends the gift, he now is faced with the Malach Shel Esav, the angel of Esav, where he struggles the entire night and is ultimately victorious and receives a new name, Yisrael. Now that he's been victorious with the Malach, he's ready to meet Esav himself. And the meeting is tense, but miraculously Yaakov escapes unscathed, unharmed, he and his family as well. And just when Yaakov Avinu seems to be out of the woods is the episode with Dina. The Torah tells us that Schem took Dina by force, and because of his interaction with her, he's beside himself with love and desire to marry her. But before he's able to realize this, he must contend with Dina's brothers. The Torah tells us, Yaakov Shema Kitim as Dina Bito, that Yaakov heard what happened to his daughter. However, his sons were out in the field. When her brothers came in from the Sode, they heard what happened, the terrible tragedy that happened to their sister. They were sad and they were very angry because it was an avola. There was this disgusting thing that happened to the Jewish people. That's something that cannot be tolerated. Nonetheless, Schem is determined, and through the good offices of his father, he comes to both Yaakov and the brothers proposing marriage. And he's met by surprise because he's given an ultimatum. The brothers tell him that if he wants to marry the sister, they said to him with trickery, because their sister Dina was taken by force. We can't marry off our sister to someone who's uncircumcised. And therefore, if you want to marry our sister Schem, you have to have the entire city, not just you, not just your father, the entire city is going to have to undergo a milah. Well, they were somewhat nonplussed by this. And they came to the city, Schem and his father Hamor came, VaYishmu el Hamor ve'el Schem kol yotze shar iro. Everyone listened to them with this proposal, VaYimolach el Zochar kol yotze shar iro. When they're told they're going to make business with the Jews and they're going to be able to intermarry, they went along with it. What happened? Vayom Shlishi, on the third day, V'yosem and Kohovim, when they were in the greatest pain, V'yichu Shnei v'nei Yaakov, Shimon and Levi, Achi Dina, Ish Charbo. Shimon and Levi took their swords, V'yivol Aleir, Betach, they were confident they were going to be victorious in the Schus Avos. And they killed every male in the city. And they killed Schem and Chamor as well. And they were able to rescue Dina. Seemingly the story's over. The Jews have a great victory. They've slaughtered the city. They've retrieved their hostage, their sister Dina, and everything seems to be fine. But for the fact that Yaakov Avinu is not happy at all. You've made me smell very bad. You've given me a bad name. The reputation has been destroyed, the Jewish people. I'm of a small nation, a small number. God forbid, I'm afraid there's going to be a pogrom. And therefore, what you think has been wonderful by saving your sister, my daughter, actually, God forbid, is going to turn against us. How do Shimon and Levi react? We're going to let our daughter, our sister, be a zoina, be like a harlot? The Ohr HaChaim HaKodesh asks the following question. Yaakov Avinu had a very strong question for his sons. How could you do this? How could you put the entire Jewish nation in mortal danger of genocide? We're going to be destroyed. Ask the Ohr HaChaim HaKodesh, what kind of answer is that? that they're going to be destroyed. How could that be? Yaakov Avinu said, we're going to be destroyed. And they said, HaKazoyna. Is our sister going to be treated like a Zoyna? The Ramban has another kasha. Ramban asks that why is Yaakov Avinu so angry at Shimon and Levi? As the Torah told us at the beginning, everyone is in on this mirma. Everyone is in this deceit to go ahead and trick the entire city to do a milah. So why are Shimon and Levi singled out? Two questions here. One is, what was the answer to Yaakov Avinu that they're in mortal danger? Two is, as the Ramban says, why is Yaakov Avinu picking on Shimon and Levi more than anybody else? Says the Ramban, there was a big difference here. The mirma the trickery was to have everyone do a milah so that they would be defenseless when the brothers came in to save their sister. However, Shimon and Levi went further. They slaughtered these people. That Yaakov Avinu was never masking to. He never agreed to that. And therefore, he wasn't angry at the other brothers, he was only angry at Shimon and Levi. Okay? But we still have the Orach Chaim Kodesh. We have the Orach Chaim Kodesh, his kasha. How do we understand? What kind of an answer is this? So the Orach Chaim Kodesh. They said, what were they saying, Shimon and Levi? Ki adarav istagna beno umos. Ki shiro shebizui shelo echad shelo sholo bebeis Yaakov. They said the opposite. You think, Yaakov Avinu, that we're putting the whole nation in sakana, the whole nation in mortal danger. It's going to be mortal danger if they see that we're able to accept this disgrace and not stand up and do anything. They'll realize that we don't stand up for our beliefs, that we're not going to defend our sister. And that itself is going to lead to mortal danger. The question is, however, why is that true? How do we understand the Orach Chaim HaKodesh? Why do we say that the Goyim will think, if we don't stand up for ourselves, we're hypocritical, we're weak, we don't stand behind, we don't put our money where our mouth is? Why is it that we're going to be put into danger? That's the question. In order to answer this question, we need to look at a very fine point in the language that was used, the distinction between how the brothers understood what happened to their sister and Shimon and Levi. As the pasuk tells us, that when they came in from the field, they were sad, they were very angry. It was a nevola. There was a desecration done to the Jewish people. However, Shimon and Levi didn't say that to Yaakov Avinu at the end. They said, can our sister be a Zayna? And what is the difference between a nevola, a disgrace, and a Zayna? So as the Ramban explains in the beginning of Parshas Kedoshim, he says it's possibly what's called a novel rishus Torah, be disgusting in the face of a Torah. Meaning, I can go ahead and order several pizzas and eat them all. Make a bracha before, make sure they're kosher, make sure they're yasha, make sure they're chol Israel, make a bracha achrayna, go ahead and bench. But to go and eat so many pieces, to be a glutton, even though it's not usser, it's disgusting. No B'shus Torah means that a person has the capacity to follow all the halachas as the structure of his life, and yet still be a novel B'shus Torah, still be disgusting. What is that? Disgusting. It's mius. It's a makilkul. It's ruining the ruach of a Torah. But znus is something else completely. Znus is the degradation and the destruction of Klal Yisrael. Why is that? Because we see Bilam. Bilam himself, who was unable to curse the Jewish people, every time he opened his mouth, only came out brachas. And yet he had an eitzah. The pasuk tells us he had an eitzah. His eitzah was to have the Jews succumb to the taiva for the Benos Midyan and be mizana with them and have illicit relations with them. Bilam understood that I cannot kill the Jewish people, but I can get the Jewish people to kill themselves. I can get them to commit suicide. How is that? When they violate this line. When they become mizana, when they violate this line of destroying themselves. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu hates that. He hates nus. And Bilam understood that if the Jews are going to do nus, if they're going to go act improperly this way and give in to their taivas, so Kodesh Baruch Hu is not going to be able to tolerate that. And what happened? That's exactly what happened. We saw 24,000 Jews were killed in the Machla, in this plague, because of the znus that they had with Benos Midjan. Why does the Kodesh Baruch Hu hate znus so much? So the Maral says that the Gimel Chamuris, Shvichas Dam Gilei Rayis and Avodah Zorah, are corresponding to the Gimel Mudei Olam, Torah, Avodah, Mikvim, Chesed. So it's understandable that Avodah Zorah is the opposite of Avodah, and that Ritzicha, murder, is the opposite of Gemilas Chesed, of doing kindness. So that leaves the relationship between Torah and Gilei Rayis. Says the Maral that just like Torah is the spitz, it's the pinnacle of Ruchnius, so too Znus, Gilei Rayis, is the lowest level of Gashmias. It's a person not just giving into his taivas and not just doing an Avera. It's a person becoming a Davar Gashmi, person becoming a totally physical being with no Ruchnius left inside of him. It's the destruction of the Tzuras Yehudi. And that's why Kodesh Baruch Hu hates Nus so much, because the Jew is destroying himself. And that's how Shimon and Levi understood what happened to their sister. It wasn't just a navola. It wasn't just disgusting and terrible and something I can't even deal with. It's Nus. It's the destruction of the Jewish people themselves. And that's how Shimon and Levi answered Yaakov Avinu. He said, you put us in sakona, says the Or Chaim, and they answered him that if we don't do this, we're putting ourselves in sakona. Why? Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu hates this. Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to bring the goyim upon us as his shliach. Because once we lose our schus and ruchnius to live, it's only a matter of time before the goyim are going to destroy us. The same way that by Benos Midjan there was a plague that destroyed the Jewish people, 24,000 Jewish people, and the only thing that stopped it was Pinchas when he stopped his nus, when he reversed it. So too they understood that if we don't do this, if we don't go ahead and kill out the city, then, God forbid, we're all going to be in sakona. And as the Gemara tells us in Sanhedrin, Pinchas comes from Levi. Pinchas, who did this Maisa to restore the Kedushas Yisrael, he's mushish, he's based in Levi. That's his foundation. Just like Levi couldn't tolerate the znus, so too Pinchas couldn't tolerate znus, and that's what would save Klal Yisrael. What we need to understand is that Kedushas Yisrael is not just a Maila. It's not just something which we want to become and it makes us better Jews. It's a Ma'akev. If a Jewish person is not Kodesh to that degree, he loses his Tzuras Yehudi. And this is the lesson that we have from Shimon and Levi. And as we see at the end of the Parsha, when Shimon and Levi said, Hakazoni Yasas Achoseinu, Yaakov Avinu was silent. It seems to be from the Chumash. That even though Yaakov Avinu didn't understand it that way, Shimon and Levi, in their intuition, what they understood was that this is much worse than the Vala. This is something you have to be Meiser Nefesh for and kill for. Because if not, Chas v'Sholem, the Klal Yisrael is in even greater danger.